Just a few products that we are bringing to market. Some are already out that you might know or you don't know. And then and some tools and features that might have been already mentioned today, but repetition is mother of learning. So the RICS Whole Life Carbon Assessment, the professional standard version 2 is coming mandatory in July. So we've been going through the tool development and we're nearly there. The beta has been released. It's out now. It is in your license if you have a UK license. Building license, that is, not EPD. So you'll find it in the tool selection. There is new things. That's already there. So the pre-construction works, A0s and A5.1s, the B2 impacts and like the scenarios, and also C1 scenarios as per the RICS guidance. You'll find all there. So the tool has even more things to fill in or drop downs, and even more drop downs for kind of uncertainty factors. So all these technological and geographical representativeness can be found, and also the quantity uncertainty. So you can, every row you select a material row, you can also select these uncertainties. And then the consistency factor is also nearly there. Data and building level are there. You'll find them on another new top bar called top-up factor bar. So it is getting bigger and bigger. And there's also, we have added the worker transportation option, so the DEFRA data is there now for the A5.2, I think it is, on top of it. And you can also get the decarbonized scenarios and non-decarbonized scenarios directly calculated for you, so you don't need to do this outside. You just, on the results page, you can see both of them. Things are, and then with the reports in Excel is also there. So the results page doesn't have the full report, as you can see. It's simplified, so you can actually fit on the page this time. But you can get the full Excel submission report for RICS, whatever purpose you want to use it, from the reports drop down. There will be also world reports and other private reports if you want to do them at a later stage. Still to come, there's other things we try to help you so you don't need to do anything manually outside of the tool. The new end-of-life scenarios, which are complying with the RICS scenarios, are there to be added. Transparency top-up factors, so more top-up factors are to come. B5 results of planet refurbishments. I mean, I don't think anyone ever uses it, but it will be there, just in case you are planning to refurbish your building in the day one. BA, the user utilization inquiry and results is also there soon. And we try to help the BCD reporting, so there will be some simplified report for that, which is not the whole Excel. They don't want all of that. And then the infrastructure side of things we need to clarify as well. Obviously, we have tool, we have PAS 2080 tool and EN 1747 tool, both available. They just might not have all the RICS requirement scenarios there yet, but that's something we are also promising end of the year. Don't hold me to it. Then we also, this was launched in last Carbon Expert Forum, I think it's called. So Biodiversity Supply Chain Stress tool. It is available if anyone wants to trial it. It is more, it's A1 to A5 tool. It runs with your LCA. So this is not BGN. James will talk about that. This is other biodiversity tool. If you have any questions, ask James. I only know this. So it basically calculates potentially disappeared fraction of species if you are building a building. So you can compare how the biodiversity stress impacts if you build a concrete building or, I don't know, timber building, and see on carbon and biodiversity stress terms, which would be better, maybe optimize your design. You can bring also cost in it or whatever. So that's just an extra metric to think about it. So that's there. We also have brought Luminaire EPD Tool, so specifically for lighting manufacturers and also lighting component manufacturers. So it will be a little bit more lighting orientated, so it is specifically for anything to do with lighting. So it's more basically everything, all the data gets pre-verified, including all the site data and so on. So if you are a lighting manufacturer or you know some, get them to contact us. We'll happily tell them more. It's already out, and it's been now this week approved by or verified by the EPD Hub, so it can be now also used. Other tools and features coming. This is what Panu mentioned earlier, is the materials platform. It will be accessible from the main page. We said we're going to give it to all expert users to start with. It will start with choose products, and then you can go all things carbon, and you can compare things, change your put your favorites and search, and so you don't need to do LCA. You can just have a look what you would like to put in your project and what there is available, what kind of comparisons there might be. So that's to come, hopefully soon. And something we've been asked for many years is the internal quality control for building LCAs. That is now pretty much there. It is available. And then also for publishing internally verified EPDs, so it's a similar kind of process. So you can send it to someone and they can check it, and then you can be sure that it has been double checked. So that is also something that is available now. It was this release, which was yesterday, so it is there in some formats. So yeah, those are the updates from me, and now the big announcement of BG. Yeah.
Could I just get everyone to raise their hands and keep it raised if you've heard of Biodiversity Net Gain before today? And then can I ask people if they think it's not something that they need to think about to lower their hand? Well, that's very encouraging. Yeah, so just to set the scene, why we're sporting this. In October to December last year, there was over 85,000 applications for planning permission just in England. Now, obviously, I don't know the scale of all of those, but it's a reasonable assumption that Biodiversity Net Gain applies to a lot of them. And the status quo of bringing an ecologist in once you've already settled on your site and already settled on your design isn't going to work, and I say that as experience as an ecologist. Biodiversity Net Gain is inherently linked to air quality, water, flood resilience, acoustics, visual screening. So everyone really needs to engage with this, and if you do it from day one, it's going to be better results for biodiversity and also cheaper for you, quicker for you. So it's really, really important that this becomes embedded into your developments. So to talk about the tool, the one advantage that for everyone here is that we have a very simple way of measuring biodiversity in this framework. So everything is based on habitats, which is a really easy metric to understand because habitats are always present. Like, you can go to site, you can see them, measure them, etc. So you don't need to worry about keeping track of really complex metrics. We've partnered with UK Hab Limited, which is a non-profit in the UK, and they are a provider of a required data set to have full alignment with the statutory requirements. So this is an example on the left of what a data card, for anyone who's familiar with One Click LCA, will look like. You have a habitat, we have a description of the habitat, which is directly from UK Hab. And in some cases, there's a description from UNIS, which is the European Environment Agency. And then we've also got pictures for all of them. And this is kind of our first approach to supporting people who are not familiar with Biodiversity Net Gain and getting them comfortable, because especially with early stages of your design, when you're comparing multiple sites, like optioneering, it's not always like cost efficient to send an ecologist to 10 different sites, whereas you might be able to get a quick assessment, a quick approximation of biodiversity net gain. So if you're like a sustainability consultant, you can use the descriptions and the pictures to get help with identification. So this is what the tool looks like right now. Everything is presented on a single page. So you have 3 categories. You have habitats, which are area habitats, hedges, which are linear habitats, and then watercourses, self-explanatory. Hedges and watercourses in the tool are optional, but if they are on your site, then they become mandatory, like you have to fill it in. And essentially, the first section of the top, baseline habitats, is your pre-development. You need to go there before you've started any construction, any clearance of habitat, and measure things. And then you decide what actions you're going to take. So will you remove them, will you retain them, and then will you create something new, or will you enhance existing habitats? And you put those in like so. And then when we go on to the results, it's important to note that the biodiversity unit, which you can see in the bottom right, is just a standardized unit of measurement, which is developed by DEFRA. It's just like a way of accounting for habitats. All habitats have different multipliers that are based on things like their rarity or species richness in the UK. And you can also influence the amount of units you get by some options, which I'll just go back. So we have like condition, strategic significance. You can decide what you select in there, and that will influence how many units you get. The main results page will give you a breakdown view of all of the different habitats and whether it was created or if it was a baseline, etc. And then you can expand and see the individual units that each habitat got. And the most important results table is this one at the bottom, which is total unit change. So it's a pretty simple formula how this is calculated, but you have your pre-development value of biodiversity, and you have a post-development value of biodiversity, and then between those two there's a net change in the totals. And for anyone who's not familiar with the legislation, you have to evidence a 10% increase in biodiversity. So this is how you measure that with this final category. You have a net change in units, and then you can calculate a percentage change. And one of the advantages of doing that with our tool is that you can really, really simply compare multiple design options directly from the results page, so you don't have to dip and dive between tabs and like different projects. It's really, really fast and simple, and this is really important because you need to embrace biodiversity net gain early on, but it's not a like one and done process. It has to be iterative. Like as your design evolves, as you get more data on the site, you should go in and like you keep your first design and then you iterate over it and add a new design and you compare the results. And then I'll just talk briefly about what's still to come. So the tool is available now. The first thing that we plan to do is filtering, which is based on the trading rules. So for anyone who isn't familiar, the methodology has rules embedded into it so that you can't lose habitats that existed before. Like you have to compensate for them, and like the rules enforce that. So we will introduce filtering that basically simplifies the decision making. So when you're creating a new habitat or you're enhancing existing habitats, only the choices that actually meet and satisfy the trading rules will be visible to you. So it's really simple. Other than that, there's the Biodiversity Gain Plan, which is a Word document required as part of your planning permission submission. And then finally, a small thing, but like a balancing habitat areas and lengths within the tool, just a nice to have feature that makes it a bit easier for you to keep track of. And finally, just to say, I'll be delivering a webinar on the 14th of May, which is going to go into a lot more detail on how to complete this, and it'll be a live demo using the tool. But yeah, any questions?